Thanks, mate.
I'm probably a lot less tired than you are right now. Like it's in the afternoon for me, and you're
Yeah.
probably already up and moving and super busy today.
Yeah, man. That's it. What'd you do to your shoulder, man?
Man, basketball accident. So I've got a
Yeah.
cool story. We're going on a cruise, my family and myself. So I have a cool story to tell on the cruise. Really, I airballed a basketball. We were out there playing, and it hit the rim, kind of actually.
Yeah.
And was going towards the road, and I went to go save it, and I slipped on something and fell forward and landed awkwardly. So I tore a ligament and also broke something as well. So we're heading to surgery towards the end of this month.
Yeah, I recognise the sling, mate. I've had shoulder issues from my rugby league days and had required shoulder ops and all that from torn ligaments. And it's one of those overhead challenges. Like last night was just, straight away that it's not going anywhere.
Could you feel it like in your shoulder?
Oh man, my hands were numb for days afterwards. I couldn't lift my arms past like here after the challenge. Like it was just, it was made for Shay, that one. It was, I knew it was going to be a rough day.
I feel that right now. Like I wouldn't even be able to do it. So I'm happy that you understand the pain, because I remember
your pain.
That was my first like major injury, and I mean, if you call it major, and it was not fun. I'll say that.
No, yeah. Make sure you do the rehab properly, man. That was the mistake I made when I was young. I just kept dislocating it, just kept popping it out, and then it's just do the proper rehab.
Thank you. Yeah, we're trying to plan whether to do the surgery before the cruise or just wait till after to do it. It's all about getting back up and moving.
At least like when you're cruising, man, you'll get the reps in.
Right. I can still
to your mouth the whole time, so could be good for rehab.
I can still tan and stuff. Well, first off, I want to say, Josh, it was a blast watching you on the show. I know you might be a little down today, but you had to have at least like some fun last night with the family and stuff watching the finale.
Yeah, I did, mate. It was, it's bittersweet. I knew that episode was coming. You definitely don't look forward to it as much as ones where you win immunities and stuff like that. But it's. I obviously knew it was coming for a long time, so you can sort of mentally prepare for it. The show's been an absolute wild ride, watching it back, and, the edit is, sometimes not what you expect, and you go, so it's ups and downs, and it's good to wrap it up. But, all in all, I'm happy with the game I played, and also like stoked that Mark won, and just, I've met great friends out of the whole experience. So it's all good.
That's something that a lot of people don't talk about. Like casual fans don't talk about this watching Survivor, but like you get so many relationships out of the game. Like there's a lot you can take away from it, even if you don't come away as sole survivor and with the prize and all that.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. And it's like it's like shared suffering. You know what I mean? Like we're sitting out in that dirt for 46 days and nights with each other, and you really get to know people really well. And it's one of those things where if you don't see someone for years, I think it'll always be like, you'll just have that bond with them because you did something that's not everyone.
You had to suffer together.
We suffered together, man. It was shared suffering, that's for sure.
Well, I have a lot to ask you about, like the actual gameplay itself. But before we get to that, you had one of the most emotional moments of the season when you guys got your letters after the Survivor auction. So I'm sure everyone really wants to know, first off, what was it like in that moment, seeing the picture and everything? And then how is she doing? How's your fiance doing?
Yeah, so Sage is going great. She's 32 weeks now. Absolutely glowing, and luckily she didn't have any of the symptoms of, a couple of our friends have been pregnant and just felt sick the entire time. And
naturally,
glowing, mate. She's like well into the third trimester. Baby's due May 28th. He's a little boy. We're having a little boy.
Oh, congrats, man! That is amazing.
Yeah, mate. Like we're absolutely stoked. Sage is brilliant, and and then, getting that news was just so, as you see, I was shocked. I was emotional. Like, I think the day before, a couple of days before, Jordan got to go on the car with Jordie, and they got videos from home. And he told me that, like, he saw a video of our family and Sage was there. And I started getting, like, a little emotional. I'm like, oh, shit, like, maybe this will get me. And all I wanted, actually, was just some contact from Sage and just see how she was going, see how the dog was going. We're trying, we're just about to start, IVF. We've been trying to have kids for years, and it just wasn't happening. And we were actually looking down the barrel of Sage having to get another operation. And so I was in there going, has Sage had to have this operation? Like, what's happening at home? And then, you open up a letter and I'm expecting a picture of Sage and it's an ultrasound, and clearly I just lost it. But mate, I look at that. If I watch the video now, I get tears in my eyes. It's emotional talking about it.
You brought me to tears, man. Like, and I'm never like, I'm not joking. I never like cry or anything. Yeah. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching with my family, obviously, and they're all in tears. And I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go. And it was incredible to watch.
Yeah. And it was so raw and real. And it was so cool to be able to to play Survivor with your cousin is amazing. To be two physical guys and make it that far together is amazing. Like, we made merge, we're a top 10.
Yeah.
And then to have news like that, where he's sitting right next to me and I get to open that and just have him there with me. Again, I'm getting emotional about it. Like, it's just an amazing ride, man, and amazing news that we're always going to be able to show our son that. How special, how lucky, to be able to have that.
I imagine the moment you got home, that was like a whole different feeling.
Yeah.
Like just seeing her and everything as soon as you got back.
Yeah, it was, mate. Another whole round of tears and happiness. Yeah, it was so cool.
All right. Well, that is awesome to hear. Once again, congratulations, man. I just had to get that out of the way. Like, that was the first question. I'm like, I have to know how it's going and everything. So let's get to you and Mark. The bromance that's kind of what I was saying the entire time on the show. So you guys really hit it off pretty much from the beginning of the game, right? You had a good relationship from the start, worked really well together, but you also had a relationship with Jordie, and especially takes me back to like the Big Boys Alliance over on the Blood Tribe. Yeah. So I'm just going to bring it up. I'm going to pull it up here. Why was it so hard? And I know you're going to answer this question like 9 times today. I'm so sorry. Why was it so hard to believe Jordie when he was saying Mark has a second idol? And he kept saying it even after he came back from purgatory. He stuck by it. So walk us through that and why that was so hard, because everyone can watch and be like, oh, what are you doing? But it's a whole different thing when you're
there's obviously a reasoning behind it, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, well, first off, Jordie, who, we were tight as, I hear he's trying to blindside me, and so there was the first step there, and then
that'll do it.
Chrissy sort of made the sit down happen because she let me know what was going on, and so then me and Mark had to sit down. I said, mate, Jordie's actually, I've known you've had an idol since you found that clue, because Jordie's got a big mouth, but I just was waiting for you to come and tell me, but I was never actively going to go for you. Like, I wasn't. This is what Jordie was saying to Mark. He was saying, Josh is coming for you, Josh. And I was like, no, well, we heard you had an idol, so of course that conversation is going to come up. But it
never like set in stone or
I never was like Mark's number one on the hit list. So there was all that, and then it all happens, and we blindside Jesse, and then Jordie was really emotional when we got back to camp, and you didn't really see it. He was upset, and as you are when your family member goes, and it was a shock to them. They thought they were in the golden seat. And
naturally, everyone does.
Jordie's standing around the fire, and he goes, "Oh, I can't believe Jesse went home with the idol in his bag." And so he said that, and I registered that. And when he's emotional and he was feeling that, and they didn't show this, and then the next day, when he knows he's on the bottom and everyone's scrambling, he's going, "Oh, Mark and Sam have another idol." And I'm like, "Mate, I heard you last night. You said Jesse's got the idol and he took it home in his bag." And so that was the basis and the whole route that I would always come back to. I'm like, he clearly said it that night, but little did I know Mark and Sam got to him like straight away after tribal, and they sat him down and said they'd work with him. And so that's why he said that. But Jordie, again, with his scrambling style, he was active in camp. He was just up, down, oh, can I have a chat? And he was doing it to everyone. I was just like, man, he's too sporadic. He's got no shame in really trying to scramble and hustle. He'll say anything. And so in the end, Mark did have the second idol, but it was nullified anyway. He didn't even play it the way, and I still would have taken Mark to the end too, because he was just more trustworthy than Jordie, and Jordie was a big threat. Me and Jordie had a great relationship in terms of like game, recognized game. Like, it was like, yeah, man, like, I'm your mate, but you're too good and you came for me. And so like, let's, I'm coming for you. You're still a legend.
I knew there had to be something. I knew there had to be something else. Like, I knew like everyone, it was a big talking point. Like, how can they not see it? I'm like, there's got to be something.
He kept getting caught in lies too. There was one time I was sitting with Sam and Jordie, and he said something that totally like meant that like Jesse had the idol in his bag. I can't remember his exact words, but me and Sam just like looked at each other, and I'm like, yeah, Jesse's got the idol. There's no way. And so, it was, well played from Mark and Sam to be able to keep running that that liver for so long. But in the end, as I say, it didn't matter. And that would have been part of my pitch that, you know, Mark had 2 idols from 6 down and both of them were, you know, nullified essentially. So, yeah.
And you said something while you were describing that there. And this was actually, it's perfect. It was my next question too. You said, I still would have taken Mark to the end.
Yep.
So you get to the final 4. It's Chrissy, it's Shay, you, and Mark. And I was thinking, okay, this has got to be the moment for Josh. Cause you were saying it. You're like, okay, I'm going to keep Mark around. Brilliant play by you because he is a shield. And as long as Mark's there, as long as he's there, you know, you have someone to kind of bounce off of. All the attention isn't going to be on you.
Exactly.
But you kept saying throughout the season, there's got to be a time, like I'll get to it. And then once the final 4 happens, Shay wins immunity. You're like, okay, why don't we just work together? Was that always the plan to take Mark to the final 4? Because from what we saw, he was your biggest competitor and biggest obstacle to winning the game. Yep.
No, ideally, if it all went to plan, we would have beaten Shay in the top 5 challenge, the one with the ball.
Are you talking the 2 balls that like you
had to drop the balls in? Yeah. Ideally, what I wanted was to, you know, one of us had to beat Shay that day. And then it would have been, we would have got rid of Shay, and then it would have been a top 4 of me, Mark, Chrissy, and KJ. And then knowing that it was going to be a mental toughness challenge and a physical one like it was, I knew that I'd get close to Mark. It still would have been really hard to beat him.
Yeah.
But when Shay was there, mate, like I'm there, my hands are numb, like shaking, blistered up, like my shoulders are shaking.
The stuff they don't show.
Mark's struggling. And then I look to my right to watch Shay, and here she's doing yoga like it's nothing. And so that mentally, I was like, oh, I'm not, there's, even if I push, another 10 minutes, like she's got so much less. She's not even anywhere near the amount of pain that I'm feeling right now. So, ideally, we would have gone, got rid of Shay in that top 5. And then hopefully I could have beaten Mark in that last one and then take the girls to the end and have an easier pitch, you know, in my eyes. But then when it got, you know, the control was taken out of our hands by Shay, you know, kicking ass, and good on her. It was like, all right, me and Mark had to stick together again because, you know, if I went for Mark at top 5, it would have been me with all the girls left. Shay would have won the challenge, and then I'd go again. And that was part of the reason why I was a little bit upset at Chrissy for not sticking with me and voting KJ, and she just randomly threw that Mark vote out, and then she re-voted and went KJ. But I was trying to get across to her, like, hey, like, do you understand that if that came off for you, and the girls wrote Mark, my game was done.
Yeah,
you've absolutely destroyed my game, and that was why I was, you know, a little bit upset with her last night, and that's why I said, well, Chrissy's been cruising, and she said it on Sunday night's episode. She's like, I'm set, I'm top 3, easy, and she didn't care which way, you know, because everyone was focusing on me and Mark. And Shay, Chrissy,
I don't think her name got brought up once. No.
And so I'm like, said to Mark, I'm like, bro, Mark, Chrissy threw you under the bus last night. You know, if the girls had their shit together, like they would have all voted you. You were gone, and then I would be gone today. I'm like, so they threw us under the bus last night. Let's pretend that we're going to go for each other, and then write Chrissy.
It was a great plan. I'll say that. It was a wonderful plan.
I think you know, it was strategically, it was something different, but I just well, one, I got outplayed by Mark at the last hurdle, you know, like he went.
Hey, props to you, man. Props to you.
He outplayed me at the very last bit. But also what I was trying to do is, like, if me and Mark stuck together and you know, I had to go to fire against Chrissy, I'd probably rather go to fire against Chrissy than Mark. And then also if we pulled it off completely, it would have, you know, blindsided Chrissy there. But ideally, I would have taken the 2 girls to the end, but I needed some final play, and I tried it. I had a swing and miss, but one of my regrets.
You know, that's the thing about Survivor too, is everyone loves to just compile on like what are they doing and stuff like that when it doesn't go right. But say that move went right. Say you wanted to go, you know, they voted how you guys wanted. Be a totally different story today. Everyone would be applauding you. That's just
exactly.
How fast it can change and everything.
That's it. And I think the pitch would have been, you know, I'm not saying that I would have won against Mark. I think it would have been close. You know, we both had,
it would have been
stories.
Really close.
But Mark pitched really well, and Mark played the jury better. You could see, like, having that second timer experience was massive. And things that I've learned was, like, I was so tunnel vision on getting to the end that, like, I didn't play the jury as well. And again, you're so tired out there. There's so much going on. You're this close to 500 grand, and you're just like, we make mistakes. We're humans, you know what I mean? And that's what people need to remember as well. Like, yeah, it's good to watch it in hindsight when you've got all the angles, but when you're out there, you don't have all the angles. There's so much going on, and there's human emotion involved. And I don't blame anyone for trying to win the game either. Like, I don't blame Chrissy and Shay for doing what they did, or Mark. I just think the reason I was upset with Chrissy was like, it's a bit late to do that move. Like, that one thing is not going to get you the win, whereas, you know, they thought it would. And but no, it's all a game, mate. We all make decisions. We're human. We're emotional too. You know, like, I was pretty angry when Jordan went home and everyone's like, oh, he's a sook and that. And I'm like, man, you know, I'm protecting
anyone's going to be mad. Everyone, like, anyone is going to be mad. Exactly.
Yeah. You try and cover that up when you're sitting pretty too. We were in a strong spot.
Leading the game. Yeah.
We felt we were like tight. We had tight relationships with Chrissy. And so there was like really three of us. And then we also had like, Mark and Sam had an idol, and people were like a bit, you know, upset with their style of play. It was something. So I'm like, man, we're in a great spot. And then all of a sudden you win immunity, first one too. I've got the baby news. I'm like, here we go.
On top of the world right now.
Yeah. Exactly. And then you stink out a tribal, and then all of a sudden your cousin doesn't come back. And even that play, like, I understand KJ's logic. You know, she didn't want Sam to play an idol and then Jordie go home. But looking at it, I'm like, they still had two idols, because you're on purgatory with Jordie, and like would have believed him that they had the two idols, and yet you target me and Jordan, who didn't have the idols. And, you know, it did break up a couple. I get that. But it's funny that, you know, they did that play and then they turn on each other straight away anyway. The next day, you know, we wrestled back control, you know, and I put us in the minority too. Like, it wasn't like it was like, I voted for Sam and put us in more danger. And they still, you know, ended up turning on each other, and their purgatory alliance lasted like 2 votes, and we got control back. So
you did a stellar job playing like both sides. I will say that. I'll just mention on the Jordan behalf, like, I understand the frustration, because you had something that not like almost no one else did, unless we're talking like pre-merge and stuff like that. And you had no say in it. You weren't at tribal. So I totally
didn't even get to say goodbye.
Exactly. You didn't have that moment.
Cousin. Yeah. It was just like all of a sudden he's there, and I was just shocked, you know, and I was like, what the hell just happened? And you know, it's a big advantage, man. Like, that late in the game, that's a huge advantage to be given. And that's the game of Survivor. But like, I just want to say that we're emotional, we're humans, and you know, don't apologize for that. And again, you're watching an edit too, so you know, I managed to calm down and work with the people that got my cousin out. You know, I got my revenge. I plotted my revenge slowly, and I got everyone but Shay, you know. But
the Sam vote was perfect. And especially if you were able to kind of give her that jab, like you tried, you were like, play your idol, like I'm still like baffled why they did not listen to you that night.
Ideally, that was my first plan. Like, play the idol. It lowers your risk. I can work with you a bit more because there's no idol.
Earns trust.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we've worked together the whole time. Like, you should listen to your alliance member when I'm giving you the heads up. But I knew they just weren't doing it. They were so, like I said, they were like hoarding them like Gollum. Like, it was like, no, we're not, you know, they're not bringing them to camp. And you're hearing this stuff. Like, Mark told me after the Jordan vote that I said, where's your idol? He's like, I left it at camp. And I'm like, what? Like, what is going on?
Who
like,
does
you
that?
guys, it was, and I'm like, there's too much. And there's talk of the two idols. It was just constantly at me, and I said, nah, these guys will happily sacrifice me and Chrissy. If we tied up there and went 4-4, and then we went 3-3, like, we'd go to Rocks. Mm-hmm. And they were happy to send me to Rocks while Mark had an idol. And so I was like, nah, I've got to force their hand here. And so I put Sam's name down to force their hand and say, you have to listen to me. I tried to give them the warning. Jordie would have gone home. We would have then been in the majority. We would have kept control of the game. But my second choice happened, but I think in the end it freed me up and allowed me to, one, separate my game from Mark, but also it won a lot of trust with the other side in terms of Jordie and Dave. They thought I was a legend for doing it, and then next thing you know, I'm on the spar where I can, you know, wheel and deal a little bit more.
And everyone's feeling great and stuff. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, and I think in hindsight, even though I didn't want it at the time, I think it was a better outcome.
Now, to go on a positive note here, I have to bring it up. You were a challenge machine this season, and I don't think anyone really saw it coming. That's nothing on you. It's just you never know who's going to be the best at these challenges. They look so difficult. You have to be good at, I mean, you did everything. You did the physical challenges, you did the puzzle challenges, and outside, I mean, technically you tied Shay, unless we're counting that one before the merge. So what was your secret? What do we need to be doing to get ready to be, challenge beasts on Survivor? What do these future players need to be doing?
Look, I knew that I would be thereabouts, like I know I'm not the fastest, the biggest. I know I'm not, like have that muscle endurance like Shay does, but I knew that, I would be close enough. And then I also knew that I had the puzzle brain, like I love puzzles, all that sort of stuff. So I knew if I could get there, I'd be in with a shot. But also, like, I come from team sport background. I played rugby league a lot, and me and Jordan idolized Croc because when Croc was playing for Melbourne Storm, which is like NRL, like, top league, rugby league down here, me and Jordan were actually in the junior system. And so we'd be at Melbourne Storm training, trying to make the top level. And here's Croc walking around the gym, and we're going, it's Michael Crocker. And then when we're lining up there, all of a sudden we look, and his, Croc monster comes out, his big beard, and Jordan turns to me, he's like, bro, is that Michael Crocker? And we're like, yep.
Who knew you would end up playing with him? Like, who knew?
Yeah, it was so cool. And so, but like rugby league is an awesome sport that gives you a great all round, it gives you physicality. It teaches you how to play in a team, teaches you a lot of good stuff. So I do rugby league, and then I do Brazilian jiu-jitsu now for the last like 6 years as well. And so that's good for muscle endurance, mobility, all that sort of stuff. So I knew I'd be good. I like
pretty good at it. Yeah.
Yeah. I like doing some of the jumping around, doing Ninja Warrior stuff, climbing ropes and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, good all rounder.
Are they, quick answer though on this one, are they as tough as they look, or even tougher?
Oh man, the team challenges, like the sandbag one was ridiculous. Like early days, like that.
Oh, you're talking like when you had to go up the hill.
Mate, it's dusty out there. So yeah, they're tough, physical. The rugby ones were hard. We went so many more rounds that you didn't see on TV. And you were just absolutely, the mud wrestle with Jordan was like, that went for heaps longer than what they showed as well. And like I came out of that absolutely just gassed, it was it was awesome, man. The challenge was so fun.
So with your final vote, end of the game, you did end up voting for Mark. Was there any option for you voting Shay or Chrissy, or was it going to take a miracle for you to change your vote?
I think the way that it went down with Chrissy, I think I was always going to go Mark, because Mark, as a Survivor fan, you got to have you got to outwit, outlast, outplay. Chrissy had the best social game, clearly, but the strategy, wasn't there. So as a fan, like, you just got to do the right thing and go, who played the most complete game? And that was Mark. I think though, Chrissy was so loyal right up to the, the last few, like we started to slip away because just quickly, like on that, like Juice, this is where Dave, people didn't realize how much of a threat Dave was. He was getting in the girls, Juicy Dave, like the Juicy effect, like he was getting into Chrissy's ear and KJ, and like he wanted to take Chrissy and KJ to the end.
I can see that.
He was saying, he's like, you got to get rid of Josh. What are you going to do? And that just planted that seed in Chrissy's mind. Like, hey, I've got to start playing now. I'm getting close to the end, which she has the right to do. But once that sort of happened, the loyalty card, it changed for Chrissy, and that would have been her only play. If for example, I didn't go for Chrissy and then she backed me and sent me to fire with Mark and I lost, I probably would have voted Chrissy just out of like, she was loyal all the way through to the very end. But like I said, I could feel her slipping, and then I just brought my vote back to, okay, let's look at the three aspects and who played the best out of that. Shay played a brilliant physical game. Shay played an amazing physical game, kicked ass. She scrambled and scrapped her way from the bottom, but she just didn't have that social or strategic play.
I was noticing that the final tribal, it didn't look like Shay. It looked like Chrissy had a compelling argument. It looked like Mark was like the front runner, but Chrissy, she did a great job arguing.
Yeah, she did. She had a good pitch for what she did, and they did edit out though. Like the jury were really big Survivor fans, and like when I got in, I didn't spend much time in the villa, but people were practicing their questions to each other. They had notes in there. They were taking it really, really seriously. And so, for someone like Chrissy, who just sort of, people were calling her a goat and stuff like that, and they're not giving enough credit for her social game. Like if it wasn't for her, there was probably votes where I probably would have been gone, but she was the sort of social linchpin there saying, hey, they're talking about you, and then I could go and talk to them face to face and sit and sort it out. But if it wasn't for Chrissy, I probably wouldn't have had that information. So she did play a great social game, and the jury were probably a little bit harsh on her in the end, but still Mark played the better all-round Survivor game.
The jury's always going to be just a little harsh and everything.
You've got to be salty, and like on that as well. Like
it's fresh on the mind, and
me and Jordie said, like, I'm like, bro, I'm going to look angry as, because we were laughing backstage.
You did.
But I'm like, I'm gonna make him squirm a little bit here, and like put it on him a bit. But no, there was definitely no hard feelings at all.
Yeah.
And it is a game, and I understand all that, and it's just a bit of fun.
To wrap up our time together, because I know you have a super busy schedule today, I have just two kind of mini questions here. The first one is, who would you say is the bigger Survivor fan between you and your cousin Jordan? And are you guys kind of poking fun at each other, especially you saying like, hey, I beat you, I made it farther than you, man?
I think in terms of fans, probably me, just because I'll probably watch the last season's live, whereas Jordan sort of caught up once we knew what was going on.
Yeah.
But Jordan's definitely a fan of the show. So I'd probably say me in terms of fans, and then definitely when the one-on-one challenges when we had to go against each other, we definitely were giving it. I got there was one where we went wood chopping together, and I got him on that, and then me doing jiu-jitsu. The mud wrestle, I had to win that. I was so embarrassed.
You guys always stepped up against each other. Like it's always like I saw Josh step up or I saw Jordan, and I'm like, okay, I know where this is going right now.
Yeah, and like because we've wrestled our whole life, and he's a big, strong guy, and so we go hard against each other, but we also smile and have a laugh. So it was good fun. But yeah, Jordie got me on the he got a few. He was kicking ass early on, and then once the puzzles came in, I got to show that I've got something else in there.
He's got to practice the puzzles a little bit.
That's it. Yeah.
And we always wrap up every time I get the opportunity to interview someone who's been on the show. This is an easy question, and it's, would you go back? Say they give you a call. Would you play again?
If they call me like today for the next season, I don't think I would, just because I got to get this baby. I just want to focus on learning how to be a dad first. But if I got a call in a couple of years, I'll be back. Yeah, for sure.
I rarely get no's and everything. But
I wouldn't imagine.
Josh, thank you so much for joining me again today. And again, congratulations. I hope everything goes good with the birth and all that. So congrats to you, man.
Thanks, Randy, man. That was a cool interview, bro.
Thank you so much. Hey, enjoy the rest of your day.
Cheers, mate.
Don't